Welcome to Wise Man's Dollar, a podcast for everyday working people who want to make wiser decisions with their money, reduce financial stress, and build lasting wealth for themselves and the next generation. I'm Sunjata, and I'm so grateful that you decided to join me once again. The big idea for today's episode is that it's not just about building wealth, it's also about passing it on efficiently. And it's another episode in our 8 benefits of whole life series, and why properly structured dividend paying whole life insurance is perfect for the infinite banking concept, aka becoming your own banker. So, what are those 8 benefits? The guarantees, the constant compounding, liquidity, privacy. What we're going to be talking about today, the income tax free transfer of wealth. Those are the first 5. Then we have a competitive yield, monthly cash value growth, and lastly, the flexible loan provision. Those are the 8 benefits. And in the last episode, we talked about how liquidity and having access to capital while you're alive for life's inevitable events and to take advantage of opportunities is truly, truly powerful. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about what happens to that wealth after you graduate, after you transition, and what you can leave behind and how that can impact future generations. So, again, liquidity protects your family while you're living, and life insurance protects them when they're not. And that is one of the biggest benefits of this strategy and this asset is that it has living benefits, but it also has death benefits. Most people only think about life insurance for the death benefits. And the whole purpose of this podcast and the whole purpose of what we teach at Factum Financial is helping you take advantage of both living benefits and death benefits because we're all going to pass away, and that is a guarantee. So, by placing your liquid safe assets in this your liquid safe money in this asset, your family gets to benefit from one of life's inevitabilities. So, again, the core idea that we're going to be talking about is that one of the most unique benefits of properly structured whole life insurance is the death benefit, and the death benefit generally transfers income tax free to beneficiaries. So the money you've worked decades to build can move to the next generation efficiently and predictably. Here's a simple explanation. Most assets transfer differently. For example, retirement accounts, investment accounts, real estate, businesses, many of those have taxes, they have delays, they have legal complexities, they have market risks. Life insurance is different. And it's different because the death benefit in life insurance is contractually guaranteed. It arrives when you need it most, and it generally transfers tax free to the beneficiaries. This is one of the reasons why life insurance has been used for generations in estate planning and in family wealth transfer. So, why does this matter to everyday families? Well, when most people hear the idea of legacy planning, they think of like wealthy family, multimillionaires, people with large estates. But really, this conversation is for everyone. As I said, this podcast is for everyday working people. And the reality is, everyone leaves behind assets, obligations, responsibilities, and loved ones. And the questions to consider with those realities is, would your family need income replaced when you transition? Would debts need to be paid? Would children need support? Would a spouse need financial flexibility? And these are the questions that life insurance naturally has answers to. Then there's the debt elimination conversation. Some of the most practical uses for debt elimination are mortgage payoff, making sure that money is there for vehicle loan payoff, business debt, personal debt. And, it's really important for those of you who are, again, legacy minded. to think about those things now and not think about the idea of, I'll take care of that later in life. And, many families like to use life insurance so that those debts don't become burdens to the next generation or if they leave a spouse behind. So, one of the tie-ins to the wise man, my granddaddy, who is the inspiration for the title Wise Man's Dollar in this podcast, is because my granddaddy and the way he lived his life really ties into all of the benefits of the asset that I talk about on this show. And one of the examples, of leaving something behind for the next generation and making sure that, you know, he didn't leave behind burdens is, for one, my granddaddy didn't leave behind any debt. And, he also made sure that my grandmother was cared for, and he left behind enough savings and enough liquid assets that my grandmother was able to, live to age 104 after my granddaddy transitioned at age 91, and she never had to worry about money. There was enough assets left behind through life insurance and through, liquid cash assets that he left in banks, et cetera, or I say liquid safe cash assets that he left in banks, that, all of her care needs, her medical needs, and, even having in-home care as she aged and was unable to take care of herself was taken care of. And my granddaddy also left behind assets for the next generation. He had left behind the family's legacy home, which we still visit in Florida on the panhandle near beautiful beaches. And he left behind a rental home that, well, my grandmother and grandfather left behind a rental home that we're able to leverage to help pay for expenses at the legacy home. They also left behind land assets, etc. So, again, my grandfather was just such a great example of all the things that, I talk about and teach on this podcast. And I always like to tie him in and share his story. So, the personal tie-in for me and why this really resonated to me is because, as I began to learn about the infinite banking concept, yes, I got excited about all of the living benefits and all of the savings possibilities and, my cash being able to grow and in a savings environment that was safe and without risk and had constant compounding and all the other eight benefits. The other thing was knowing that one of those benefits was also the fact that the death benefit also continues to grow with when you design it the way that we design it for infinite banking. It's not just like a conventional whole life policy where you pay for $1 million in life insurance, for example. With the infinite banking structure and how we structure the policies, the death benefit also continues to grow as you save and as you use it, for infinite banking. So, it's really exciting to me to know that the same money that I would be saving in an emergency fund for an emergency fund in a regular bank, by saving it in this environment, it's also tied to a death benefit that the next generation, my children, are going to receive when I transition. So, you know, the bigger wealth lesson that, we can take away from this episode is that, wealth building is not only about accumulation, it's not only about, what we can do today, it's also about stewardship. It's about what you're building for today, but it's also about who will benefit from it and making sure that your portfolio and your strategy is inclusive of, how it will transfer and making sure that you have and they're able to take advantage of the benefit of having this income tax free, transfer of wealth. So, the key takeaways from this episode are: whole life insurance provides an income tax free death benefit to beneficiaries, it helps protect families, it can help eliminate debt, and it creates continuity across generations. So, I hope you got something from today's episode. In the next episode, we're going to bridge into the next benefit in our series of the eight benefits of whole life insurance, which is privacy and why that matters more than you think. So, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Wise Man's Dollar. This show is designed to spark curiosity about how people can take control of their money, relieve financial stress, and create intentional wealth using properly structured dividend paying whole life insurance and the infinite banking concept. If you would like to go deeper, visit my website at go.factumfinancial.com/Sunjata. And that's the spelling of my first name. And that link will be in the show notes. And at that link, you'll get free access to a growing library of educational videos and resources. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit the like button, please subscribe, and drop a comment to share what resonated with you. And please share this with someone you care about because wisdom grows when we pass it along. And remember, like my granddaddy always said, any man can make a dollar, but it takes a wise man to spend it. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.